Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. I, of course, am here with your daily mortgage rate update, the only place on the web where you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, broadcasting to you on Facebook and on YouTube. Back this morning in the Smoky Mountains, although it's a bit dreary and rainy. It is a temperate rainforest, but the leaves, this is making everything pop. A lot of green, loving it out there. A lot of green coming in. Here, I'm going to share it with you. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. Take a look. Hold on. Oops, sorry. There you go. Take a look out there. Come on. Focus in. Oh, boy. Hold on. I got to change the setting on this so it doesn't do the weird portrait thing. Hold on. We'll turn this off. We'll make it. There we go. There it is. All right. So anyway, take a look this morning. What's really cool, look at the top of the mountain. It's still bare. You can watch the green will actually work its way up over the next few days, the next 2 weeks for some of the higher peaks. But you can see that temperature difference, and that's why down in the valley, and it starts to just work its way up as the greenery fills in. So anyway, very cool stuff. Thanks for joining me and sharing that. I won't have that view soon. I'm going to be moving over to the new office, hopefully by the middle of the year. So got the electrician coming this weekend to run some wiring. Got to get it all wired up, and then I can do more there. So if you're here this morning, say good morning. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Let Facebook and YouTube know that you were here. Don't forget to smash that like button if you're on Facebook. Tag an LO friend. Maybe share this post in a group. If you are on YouTube, subscribe and give it that thumbs up as well. Always appreciate that. If you would like a reminder that I'm going live so that you can just be notified each day, you can go ahead and get a text alert. www.hmmr.io/reminder. And you can unsubscribe, of course, at any time. But if you'd like a quick text reminder that I'm going live, you can do that. Also, if you're on your phone, take a screenshot. You can use this cool QR code from your photos, and that'll take you to the same spot as well. So let's go ahead and say hi to all the live folks here this morning, all of my wonderful friends. Thank you for joining me. Tim Clylo, the first one to say good morning this morning. Hello, Mr. Tim. Hope you are doing well, my friend. We got Angela Walters on this morning, Mike Tebow, Michael Love. Great to have y'all here. Almir Krivdik, Mike Morano, good morning. Is it safe to come back north now? Why were you in Mexico? If you were, congratulations. Alison Foy, good morning. Amy Blauser, good morning. Ron Siegel. Today is National Jelly Bean Day. All right. So that's a great question of the day. What's your favorite flavor of jelly bean? Do you eat those nasty black jelly beans? What's your favorite brand? Are you eating the cheap Brock's jelly beans, or are we going Jelly Belly all the way? I'm Jelly Belly all the way myself. Those are just the gourmet, awesome jelly beans. And I like the banana ones. What is your favorite flavor jelly bean? What brand do you eat those nasty black ones? My mother-in-law, she eats all the black ones. Ugh, I am not eating those nasty-ass black jelly beans. What's wrong with you people that like black jelly beans? There's something wrong with you. Why did we even make that? It shows you that as humankind, we make bad decisions sometimes. Why would you make black jelly beans? They're disgusting. Anyway, Charlie Bedita, good morning, sir. Lee Bounds, need a mortgage for that new place? Yeah, no. Thankfully not. The office is not it's my barn. I'll show it to you all another time. Desiree, good morning. Mike Brown, good to see you. Michael Hunter, Deb Dickinson, James Mahan, good morning, sir. Jared Vincent, hello. Yasmin Martin, good morning. Will Patterson, Randy Tico, giddy up, sir. Ron Siegel, I'm big belly, but that wasn't the question. Yeah, me too, man. I tell you what, I had slimmed down and now I'm fat again. So, Brandy Brickler, good morning. The Starburst brand, dude. That's true. Those are actually pretty good. You're right. Super sweet. I like those. Those are definitely good. I'm still a Jelly Belly guy, but those are good. Amy, we've been through this. Hey, Randy, you eat those black licorice jelly beans? They're just, 2 jelly bean dishes out now: normal and Jägermeister. Jägermeister jelly beans. That'd be crazy. You're down 52 pounds. Good for you, man. That's impressive, for real. Very good for you, man. Congratulations. I was down and then back up. So anyway, let's leave that up on the screen. Let's jump over and get started. Let's talk about what we got going on this morning. Mike, I am in Waynesville, North Carolina, right outside of Asheville. Waynesville, North Carolina. Mortgage-backed securities up 14 basis points to start the day. Don't let that green fool you, though. Take a look here at this 48-hour chart. Let's zoom in and take a look at what happened yesterday, and we'll get into the thick of it. Let me go ahead and pull this up, and we'll show you. We'll do a quick recap. Don't let today's green fool you. Hold on, wrong. There we go. All right. So yesterday, look at this. When we were coming out with pricing right around 10 a.m., 98, 85, 84, things are improving, right? We saw a drop to start the day, but things are improving. Looked like we were, after we did the video, we do the video around 9:30, so we were at like 98, 75, and then things improved. And it was like, oh, man, I said yesterday to lock, and maybe I was wrong. Maybe we're going to see this improvement through the day, and we saw this nice improvement, and then it was like, nah, and bonds just went down and down and down and down and down and down, and they just got worse and worse and worse as we go here. And in fact, let me move this up next to, hold on, come on, there we go. I'll move this over here, and I'll move this over here. Okay. So taking a look, yesterday we really did. It was just a bit ugly and kind of a rough day to mess around with that. It just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And you can see that actually corresponds, if we take a look at the 10-year yield, you can see the 10-year yield, it came down, and then it bounced and just moved higher the rest of the day. When pricing came out, the 10-year was around 4.34, 4.35, and ended the day at 4.42. So it pushed up as well. Not a good move. So taking a look here, mortgage-backed securities, when you look at the Japanese candlestick chart, we're kind of right back in the middle. We bounced off that 100-day moving average. We weren't there for long. And that's why yesterday I was kind of like saying, hey, Thursday we saw things get bad. And that's why I was saying on Monday morning hey, let's consider locking yesterday. But yesterday we lost about 50 basis points on the day overall. So today, even though we are up a whopping 17 basis points, which looks good, it's a lie. Rate sheets are going to be about an average of an eighth of a point worse than yesterday in rate. They may be a little bit better than some of the reprices worse that we saw. And if you got to reprice worse, let me know in the comments if you got to reprice worse. There were almost everybody repriced worse yesterday. When you see this much movement from when pricing comes out, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to reprice worse. We've seen a little bit of recovery today, but that's just what happens in the normal ebbs and flows. Nothing to get excited about. The 10-year treasury yield 4.38. Again, a little bit better than yesterday, closed at 4.42, but nothing to get excited about. As far as reprice risk today, it's moderate. It's not high. I don't anticipate we're going to see any big headlines. Right now, we're still within that window. The clock is ticking on that 90-day tariff pause, but we know that Trump will do something at the end of that anyway. The big news, of course, is Trump's temper tantrum and the whole whining about Powell. You could tell there's actually an interesting article about how the Trump is laying the groundwork to blame Powell for any downturn. And Nick Timiraos is, he's the Fed whisperer. So, Powell could be feeding this to him. They could be having this conversation together. But I don't disagree with it because I think Trump is smart enough to realize that that Powell is not an independent decision maker. Powell is not the one that keeps a finger on the button and raises and lowers rates. We have what's called a Federal Open Market Committee. So the FOMC, and we have an FOMC meeting about every 6 weeks. And there's 19 Fed members, but only 12 of them vote for the actual FOMC meeting and the Federal Open Market Committee on where they're going to set rates. So And a lot of them, like today, there'll be Fed speakers. A lot of these Fed speakers have been towing that same line. There's very few dovish Fed members right now. Dovish meaning they would be accommodative and they would be lowering rates. Most of the Fed members are much more hawkish and feel like they have to fight inflation, and that that right now it's okay to leave rates unchanged. Now, Trump, of course, throwing it out there, making a big stink, just that baby bullshit where he just name calling Powell a loser. It's like, come on, man, just grow up. 70-something-year-old big baby bully. I usually don't throw that stuff out there. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter. If you don't like it, too bad. At the end of the day, it's such juvenile behavior. And again, we can only wait and see where all this goes. As far as where it plays out for rates, though, this is definitely shaking up markets more than I would have thought it did. I think they're more afraid that the Fed is a stable force. Remember, the Fed, one of the knocks against the Fed is that they're too level, right? Like they're too low, low key. They don't make heavy changes. They will put their information out there. Even during the blackout period, they used Tim Ross to kind of feed information out through the markets. I think markets are concerned that if Trump were to somehow have a hand and direct influence on the Fed, that it would cause even more uncertainty and even more just chaos. As far as whipsawing and moving, and I think that's why markets have reacted to this idea. So, President Trump is signaling he will blame the Federal Reserve for any economic weakness that results from his trade war if the central bank does not cut interest rates. In the process, he might also be seeking to delegitimize the historically independent institution in the way it could undermine its effectiveness. In a social media post on Monday, Trump repeated last week's demand the Fed reduce interest rates now. There's virtually no inflation, he said, blasting Fed Chair Jerome Powell as Mr. Too Late and a major loser. Now, one thing to note is the CPI data that we just got, last week or whenever it was, a little while ago. It's data before the tariffs came out. The tariffs haven't even really had a chance to affect prices and let alone show up on reports. So, acting now is kind of silly. But when it comes to how all this is affecting mortgage rates and where everything stands, it's shaking up the trading and safe haven status of bonds and of a lot of U.S. equities even. So right now, gold is the big thing. Gold, hitting $3,500 an ounce. It fell back down below that again, but it was up to $3,500 an ounce, a new high. As people, basically, that's where money is going. So all of this points to the fact that we're unlikely to see a big rally in mortgage-backed securities, because everybody is concerned about what that would look like. Why would they buy mortgage-backed securities? What's that return on investment going to look like? It's unlikely that we see a lot of big movement there. So for right now, the outlook is rates are still more likely to lose ground than gain. It's very little reason to expect much economic recovery in that near future. That makes the lock advice. You'll see it down in the bottom of the screen. Lock advice. Yesterday, I said consider locking, everything, and I said that early in the day. I almost questioned. I'm like, man, maybe I jumped into this too early. Maybe I should have waited a little bit longer before I said that, because yesterday we saw this improvement here. After we were doing our meeting together at 9:40, 9:45, and then we saw this little rally right as pricing was coming out. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, oh man, maybe I should have cautiously floated this. And then it was like, nah. And then we saw this coming down. Of course, we sent out a text alert. Remember, if you don't get our text alerts, we do the advice in the morning. But the day, especially right now, everything changes so quickly. You can get our free daily lock advice at www.ratelockadvice.com. You can get a daily email to your inbox each and every weekday morning. But you can go ahead and sign up for our text lock alerts at www.ratetextalerts.com. And if you sign up for the rate text alerts, they come out in the morning at around 10 a.m. Eastern time, and there's one in the day between 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern. I like to get them out around 4, but sometimes I'll hold back a little wait and see what the market does closer to the end of the day, between 4 and 5 p.m. And then, of course, we do send out alerts like yesterday where it was like, hey, lock them. Things are before any reprices worse were reported. We saw the market moving and the writing was on the wall, and it was like, hey, lock them. So hopefully that did save somebody something. Again, what we're doing is we're looking for the windows with pricing right now. It's very likely that we will approach back up to the worst levels that we saw back on the 11th here. Right now we're back to where we were right before that, right? So it's very likely that we would see that. I don't think we're going to see it today. I don't think we're going to see reprices worse today. Remember, I think reprice risk on the day is moderate. I don't think that we have to worry about the headlines changing, but keep that one. Ron said, I got one, Megan. I think Hammer's already started when the text came in. Megan said no text message today. Which text message, Megan, are you talking about, for the reminder or for the lock alerts? Because the text locks come out at 10 a.m. I do them after the live. But if you're talking about for the morning one, then you take a look there. So let's see what you guys are saying in the comments here about shouldn't exist. All right. Yeah, you guys saw reprice worse. Nathan said everyone repriced worse. Yeah, I think there would be no reason that everyone didn't yesterday. So for sure, Ron Siegel said he's a Trump supporter, but is dealing with the Fed. Really stupid. Who in their right mind thinks they're going to get what they want by insulting people and calling them names? Let's face it, it's worked for him many, many times. So it does. Megan, you didn't get one for the live show. Megan, if you don't get another one, shoot an email to support@hmrsol.com and they'll check your number and see if it got blocked by the carrier or, you or anything like that. So, Ron said the problem with this Fed is they're mostly attorneys. Attorneys trained to look at which laws, which are issues that already happened. Listening to those like Goolsbee, who's an economist, is trained to attempt to predict the future. I don't disagree, but at the same point, I think it's okay to react a little bit slowly on this one, because then again, they're not going to be able to. This is such unprecedented stuff. They're not going to be able to keep back inflation, the tariff inflation. It's either going to be transitory or it's going to be permanent. They're not going to be able to push it down any further. I don't think the Fed raising the Fed funds rate is going to help fight inflation. It's not a wage inflation. It's a supply inflation, and it's a false creation. So they're not going to be able to knock it back. What circumstances would change the rate trajectory? So we could see interest rates get better if we were to see more announcements of successful tariff conversations with like India and Japan. Right now, markets, anytime we see some kind of positive news about that, that has been helpful. If we get more of a door opening for conversations with China, there was a little bit of movement, but then it's kind of gotten quiet. And that's the big trade war is with China. If Trump were to ease off on the Fed, that would help rates a little bit because it would be less of an uncertainty. But he's never going to come out and support, he's not going to do a 180. He's not going to support Powell. So I wouldn't look for that to happen, but that's what the kinds of things that would move rates as well. We're going to see rates creep lower when the economy shows signs of slipping into a recession. And I say when more than if right now. I think a lot of economists put us at like a 90% chance of a recession at this point. So we will see rates move lower. It takes time. We're going to need to see the tariff stuff playing out and see the economy and labor market taking on some weakness. The Fed will have to cut rates when the Fed's really going to react to the labor market more so than inflation. Even if inflation it goes up, but the labor market really starts to weaken, then you would see the Fed have to cut rates anyway. So all of that would feed in, but that's still June, July type stuff more than end of April, May type stuff. So it'll be a while, most likely, before we see rates come down. If we do see rates get better, it's going to be only to the best levels that we've seen, here, kind of in that high sixes, 6.75, at the best level. Ron's prediction: there will be no tariff inflation. The prices will make items unsaleable. No inflation if no purchase. I hear Christmas toy orders are already being canceled in China. The prices will not be higher since the product orders are being canceled. I was in the business. I would have been canceling orders too. Yeah. And Ron, you've mentioned this a couple of times already where people will be sourcing products from other places. So this is a complex topic that we'll have to see how this plays out, what we're really trying to achieve with it. I'm kind of curious. I don't think you're going to restore manufacturing in the U.S. based on this, but maybe it's part of it. I don't know what the flex is. I don't presume to be smart enough to really be able to read into all of it. So, but what we're looking for is signs where that 10-year Treasury yield can start to dip again. That's not going to happen anytime soon. To go back and answer Randy's question about what would bring us down. You're not likely to see that 10-year Treasury yield drop down. In order to see that, and for investors to buy the 10-year, they've got to think that inflation is going to stay stable or improve. They have to think that the markets are going to settle in on that. So, Megan, support at hmrsol.com. Support email. That's our universal support for all of our products. It stands for Hammer Solutions. So it's support at hmrsol.com. Yeah, Ron, I agree. Holiday purchases will be totally different this year. The gifts will be different. Time will tell. So we'll see. We'll see where all this goes, man. That's all we can do. So we have to strap in and be in for the ride. All right, my friends. Well, thank you for joining me again today. We'll see where the day ends up. We got Fed speakers. We know what they're going to say. We got the 2-year Treasury auction at 2 p.m. Eastern time. The reprice risk on the day remains kind of moderate, but it's unlikely that we see any real big moves today. My lock advice remains to lock anything closing in the next couple of weeks because of the uncertainty. We don't really know what's going to happen. If things jump, it's going to come quick. It happens quick and it hurts. I was bigger about locking everything yesterday before we saw the meltdown. Today, cautiously floated to start. Mortgage-backed securities currently up 16 basis points on the day. Cautiously float to see if that improves. Lock at the first sign of trouble. Again, stressing if you don't, when I talk about locking at the first sign of trouble, if you're not signed up for our text alerts, they're $7 a month. There's no reason not to be. RateTextAlerts.com. And that's it, my friends. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope you all have a fantastic day, and let's hope that things improve a little bit. Talk to you later.